What do you get when you take two actors who are well known for comedy and a director known for serious dramatic movies? Well, you get Flight Risk, an unintentionally funny but intense thriller that keeps you engaged and laughing through the whole thing. But is it worth watching though? Let's talk about it. Before I can even begin this review, I think I have to go over one important design decision they decided to go with, and that is the addition of Mark Wahlberg. Excuse me, Mark Wahlberg. That's right. In order for the producers to make Mark Wahlberg's character come off as more unhinged and psychopathic, they decided to go with the design decision of making him a balding older man. Which I guess in some aspects does work, because it did make it seem like he was an unhinged, crazed southern kind of killer. So I guess props to them. It's just so strange. It works if you can kind of get it out of your head that it's Mark Wahlberg, but once you kind of just see it, it's kind of bizarre, and that's one of the things that makes this movie very unintentionally funny. And yes, this movie was directed by Mel Gibson, known for movies like Braveheart, Hacksaw Ridge, starring in Mad Max from the 90s, things like that, classic movies. And I think it shows here, in the way that this movie is shot. The movie has wonderful shots of Alaska from the plane. The cinematography is absolutely phenomenal, both inside the plane and, like I said, outside. The movie does a great job of showing perspective shots from either Topher Grace's character, or Mark Wahlberg's character, or even Michelle Dockery's character. The movie can be a bit cheesy at times with some of its action scenes and things that happen, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes movies have to follow tropes, and sometimes they do it well, other times not so much, but I think here, the times that it does itself a favor. I'm definitely interested in seeing more Mark Wahlberg in antagonistic roles, because I think he does a good job here, but I don't think they should go for Mark Wahlberg next time. I see exactly what they were going for, I just don't think it works too well for him. He's too prominent of a role. I just don't think it works, because I just see Mark Wahlberg, but he's balding. But he's not actually balding. He's just like that for this movie. And it's strange. It's very odd. The basic plot of the movie is that Topher Grace's character is an informant for the police, or he becomes an informant once they catch him, makes a plea deal with them, and they're escorting him from his lodge, his hideout in Alaska, back to, mainland United States. Even, well, Alaska is the United States, but, back to civilization. They're escorting him via plane, and they're waiting for their pilot, and Mark Wahlberg shows up. And as it's known from the trailer already, so this isn't much of a spoiler, he isn't actually the pilot that's supposed to be delivering them to their destination here. He is a hitman hired by the Moretti family to assassinate Topher Grace's character. Land him somewhere in Alaska, get rid of him kind of deal. And that's where we go from there. This is a spoiler-free review, so no worries if you do want to catch this movie. I will not be spoiling the plot or the ending here. Beyond that, there is a lot of action sequences, a lot of fight sequences, tense scenes where, we the audience are privy to information where the characters are not, and it just creates a pleasant viewing experience. If you can just get past Mark Wahlberg, he does a really great job. He has a great southern accent that he does for this movie. It works very well for his more unhinged rants. Yeah, he works very well as a villain, and it's great to see Topher Grace in another role. Honestly, you could have just lied to me and said this was Eric Foreman like 20 years after that 70s show, and I'd believe it. I would believe it, because he kind of acts the same. He's very skittish. He still has a lot of the same mannerisms as he did back in the day, but I think it works in its favor. It's definitely a good thing about this movie. No complaints about the acting here. The acting here is absolutely phenomenal. Everybody does their part. This movie has very Marvel-esque quips throughout, and I find it to be a little endearing. I know some people will not enjoy that aspect of this movie, but if you kind of like when your characters are a little quippy, a little sarcastic, in intense moments, then you'll probably like this movie. If you don't like so much of the campy dialogue, you might not like this movie. But if you can kind of take yourself out of it, let yourself enjoy the movie, enjoy the camp, this movie is pretty solid. The ending to this movie isn't anything spectacular, but it wraps it up very nicely. There's no more questions that are going to be asked, basically. You're not going to be sitting here wondering what's going to happen next, where are they going. It's all very much implied. It's definitely a good 1.5 hour watch. I'd probably wait until this movie is available for streaming, considering prices of movie theaters nowadays, but I would definitely give this one a watch if you're ever looking for something a little funny and a little intense. And after all that, even with its campiness, its humor, I think Flight Risk is still worth a watch. I would definitely check it out if you have it on whatever streaming platform it decides to come out on. And with all that being said, Flight Risk is going to receive a 7 out of 10. That's all I got for you this time, ladies and gentlemen. And until next time, take care, have a good one.